màu những sản phẩm rất là đẹp và bút màu của mình cũng rất là đẹp các bạn nhé. Các bạn hãy cố gắng xem video của mình đến hết. Mình cảm ơn và đừng quên hãy cho mình một lượt like và một lượt đăng ký kênh để mình có động lực các bạn nhé. Và bây giờ mình cùng các bạn đi tô màu nào.
It would come down to the Dolphins getting the 7th seed. If they win at the Jets today, they're starting Tyler Huntley at quarterback. If the Broncos and Dolphins both lose, then the Bengals wind up getting in after their win last night. Sal Palantonio has the Dolphins and the Jets for us. Sal, what do we need to know ahead of kickoff for this one?
Well, Mike McDaniel, the head coach of the Dolphins, Greeny said to his team, listen, don't worry about what's going on in Denver. No scoreboard watching, please. Let's focus on the here and the now, because it really doesn't matter what's going on in Denver. If we don't win our football game, it doesn't matter what happens in Denver. We've got to win our football game. That's the one thing we got to control here and now. And they like Tyler Huntley right now. They like the place that he is in, coming off his best game of the year last week in Cleveland, completing 22 of 25, throwing a touchdown pass, rushing for a touchdown, using his legs to escape, and he didn't get great protection last week against the Cleveland Browns. So expect Tyler Huntley to really use his legs in this football game to extend drives and to convert on third down. They are very, very happy with the spot they are with Tyler Huntley. It's a system of Mike McDaniel is a system offense. They will run the football against the New York Jets today. Tyreek Hill is in line to play. Jalen Waddle is in line to play. Also, there'll be a lot of focus on Aaron Rodgers. Most likely his last game as a New York Jet, maybe the last game of his Hall of Fame career. One touchdown pass shy of 500 touchdown passes. Gets it today. He'll be the fifth quarterback all time to get it. Didn't have one last week. Stuck at 499. He's never gone 2 straight weeks without a touchdown pass. So odds are that he's going to get it today. Will it be to Devontae Adams, his old friend, his roommate, or to the foundational piece of the future of this franchise, Garrett Wilson? I don't know, Greeny. I'm a little sentimental. I think it goes to Garrett Wilson.
Listen, I mean, I think all the Jet fans are hoping it goes to Garrett Wilson and that he doesn't go anywhere else. Let's deal in both sides of this game, obviously, because there is the Dolphins side of it. And the thought of them trying to win this game without their starting quarterback in Tua Tagovailoa, who they've said would play next week. What did that sort of say to you?
Well, even the words out of Tua, he said, listen, if they're in, he's playing no matter what. This hip injury I know that he's dealing with, obviously had hip surgery in college. Like, it kind of sounds like if he could play, if he had to play, he could, and he's not out there. So I think they're obviously don't have a great viewpoint of their odds, right? Thinking that the Broncos win and they'll be out. But listen, I mean, this is a team against the Jets that should have beat them down in South Beach, right? This game went to overtime. They had to have a big comeback win, a drive in the final moments to win the game. That was with Tua. Now you're playing on the road with your backup quarterback. Listen, I think this is a tough matchup for them.
And we've talked about on this show about players playing for their head coach. I mean, you got a backup quarterback in there in Tyler Huntley. Although he looked good last week, I mean, I thought he looked very good in terms of just getting the ball to Tyreek Hill. They used Jonnu Smith very well. But still, Mike McDaniels has them playing well to the point where they still have a possibility. So you got to credit the head coach here, too.
Yeah, I think you got to credit their defensive staff. Anthony Weaver in particular, I think he's done a great job. We got a top 5 defense in Miami. But please, I think it's time the Jets show up, and they've been favored in 11 games this year and won 4. Let's get Aaron. Let him. If this is his last game with the Jets, let him go out, get the touchdown or whatever. There's no reason he shouldn't have a good day in
their best offensive performance of this year probably came against the Dolphins defense. So
let's talk about Rodgers for a minute here, okay? Aaron Rodgers is a polarizing figure. People have any number of opinions about him, and they're all entitled to them. The one thing that I think everyone agrees with, this is one of the greatest players in the history of the National Football League. Do we have a sense today could be the final time we see him as an NFL quarterback?
He sounded that way this week. Now, I would say it is difficult to predict the future of somebody that has a documentary named after them called Enigma. So you'd have
You keep saying that. It's Enigma. I've always heard the word pronounced Enigma. But okay, go on.
Well, Greeny, you're much smarter than I am. That's all I can say. You've got a better education.
It's not relevant to this, but
Enigma,
go ahead.
Enigma. Anybody who's got a documentary named after them,
Yes.
Enigma is very difficult to predict. he sounded this week like a guy
Xin chào tất
who
cả
was
mọi người.
potentially playing his
Ngày hôm
last
nay
game. Look, at the
mình
end of the
sẽ đi
season,
tô
you guys know
màu.
this.
Ngày hôm nay mình sẽ
There's a
bắt
lot of
đầu
people that feel
tô
worn
màu những
down,
sản phẩm
emotional.
rất
A
chi
lot
là
of
đẹp
people feel like, I
và
don't want
bút
to
màu
do
của
this
mình cũng
anymore.
rất là
And
đẹp
then
các
they
bạn
take a
nhé.
little break,
Các bạn hãy
and they get away from it and clear
cố
their
gắng
head
xem
mentally,
video
which he's
của mình
planning to do,
đến
and
hết.
then come back a little bit
Mình cảm ơn.
revitalized, right? So he can
Và đừng quên
absolutely
hãy
do
cho
that.
mình một
And I
lượt
do think
like
that
và
there'll
một
be
lượt
an
đăng ký kênh để
opportunity
mình quay
for
động
him
lực
to
các bạn
play
nhé.
because he has
Và bây
played well
giờ
enough,
mình cùng
and
các bạn đi
there
tô
are
màu
no teams
nào.
that need quarterbacks. So somebody may say, you know what, this is a guy that we could win with, and he's better than any option we have. So I think if he wants to play, there would be an opportunity. It may not be ideal, it may not be exactly what he wants, but I think there will be some type of opportunity for him if that's what he wants after his sabbatical.
Been in those team meetings where it's over and you're emotional. And I remember Bill Belichick saying, fellas, don't make any decisions within the next couple weeks. Take your time in terms of let everything settle down and all the emotions to settle down. And I'd like to say we're talking about someone that I'd like to say that it's important how you finish.
Yes.
But this is Aaron Rodgers, and this is a different type of guy, and we'll see what he decides.
I'll say this. I may be the only one at this table who watched Enigma. I've seen all of them. I'm telling you right now, this is not the way he envisioned his career ending. Because the overwhelming majority of that was shot before this season began. He was talking about John Elway walking off the field as Super Bowl champion in his last game and all that sort of thing. He does not envision going out this way. Now, if only we had someone here who, I don't know, was going to interview for the head coaching job of the Jets at some point in the next few days who might be able to answer some questions about Aaron Rodgers' future there. Do you think, all kidding aside, that there is a future? Let's say the Jets move on from him. There's not a lot of obvious reason for him to come back or for them to come back to him. Do you think there are teams out there that will be interested?
Oh, I without question. I think he ends up playing. I mean, you're right. I mean, look, and just times that playing in New York and with all the expectations and all that, and who's it coming down on? It's been coming down on the player. Nobody else, not the coach, not, anybody else. It's coming down on the player. And so to me, I think when he steps away from it, he'll want to come back. In no way does he want to leave that way.
I hope he keeps playing. Listen, how your career ends does matter. No one can take anything away from his Hall of Fame career. But listen, he did not envision it ending like this. And this is a guy that holds on to things, right? Like he is open. He has a chip on his shoulder. And again, Dakota, New York, Green Bay chose to move on from him. Listen, there will be open QB jobs next year. There aren't enough talented guys to go around.
There's also a guy that's had it his way the last couple years. Everything's gone his way in terms of who do you want here, what coaches, how do you want to run things, all that stuff. You can miss it, mini camp and all of these things. If he's going to have to show someone that I'll do it your way. I'll do it your way because that's still good.
That's the whole
there
thing.
It is, right?
Is it going to be exactly the way that he has had it throughout the course of his career? Is there going to be somebody that's willing to turn over its franchise, or does he have to come in and compete, or is he going to be the guy that's a bridge guy? If a team drafts a quarter, how is it going to look? It's not going to look the way it's looked the last couple of years in New York with the Jets, with him having the type of voice and power that he's had here.
And
does he want to Does he want to handle that and accept that?
Do we think he is a Jet next year?
No. I don't think
absolutely not.
Yep, I don't think so.
I don't
this whole thing
either.
gets
I don't think it makes sense from either side at this point.
I would think there's a possibility of him being, I don't know how you let him just walk out the door.
Exactly.
Things are already there for him. I mean, he just has to tweak a few little things to show that he's willing to do what it takes to be there an entire year and put in the work to finish. I mean, I just think that you can't let players like this walk out the door because I still think there's good football in him.
I
think you can let a guy walk out the door when he's not committed to the team. And that, to me,
if that's the way he is, Rex, absolutely.
Well, you can't tell me that that hasn't been the case. I mean, this is a guy that wasn't at mandatory minicamp. Enough said.
That is true. It is inarguable that he wasn't there. He was there for a lot of other things. But he was at the pyramids in Egypt at a pre-planned trip when the Jets had their mandatory minicamp.
But the Jets still have to come up with a better option than Aaron Rodgers, too.
We'll see if they're able to do it. In the meantime, Chiefs and Broncos today. This is I guess in its own way, well, certainly the biggest game in the AFC. This will decide it. Broncos in good shape despite losing 2 straight. If they win and the Chiefs are resting everybody, they're in. Broncos trying to make the playoffs, as Sheppy said, for the first time since the 2015 season. Here's their coach and their quarterback about how they do it this week.
Ngày hôm nay mình sẽ bắt đầu tô màu những sản phẩm rất chi là đẹp và bút màu của mình cũng rất là đẹp các bạn nhé. Các bạn hãy cố gắng xem video của mình đến hết. Mình cảm ơn và đừng quên hãy cho mình một lượt like và một lượt đăng ký kênh để mình có động lực các bạn nhé. Và bây giờ mình cùng các bạn đi tô màu nào.
Chances to go to the playoffs for the first time in a while. You know, if I'm in orange and blue, I'm probably not going to be quiet the whole game.
All right, Lindsay Theory has the Chiefs and Broncos for us today. And Lindsay, the Broncos, they've had 2 opportunities to clinch a playoff spot, and they've squandered them both. How do they feel going into this one?
Greeny, here's one way to look at the fact that the Broncos did squander those opportunities, losing both games that could have clinched them. It's all just setting up for a big finish. At least that's what the Broncos are going into today's game thinking. One player telling me this could all be serendipitous. He tells me that no one is happy that they haven't clinched already, but says that could create today's storybook ending. As for the Broncos and who they're facing in the Chiefs will be resting their key starters, including Patrick Mahomes, as Coach Andy Reid has made the decision with the AFC's top seed already secure. But regardless of who is or is not playing for the Chiefs, the Broncos say that will not impact the intensity in which they play today's game. I'm told we can't afford to ease up. We have no breathing room left. And their rookie quarterback, Bo Nix, understands that as he tries to lead them to their first postseason berth since 2015. Nix saying he was taught long ago that pressure is opportunity, and that in this lifestyle, in this situation, and the pressure that comes with it, it's all just second nature to him at this point. Greeny?
Lindsay, thank you very much. You know, it's fascinating the way teams can talk themselves into whatever they want. Oh, it's good that we lost our last 2 games. We get a chance to write the storybook ending. And if you're with us earlier, Shefty showed you a graphic. It's not just Patrick Mahomes who's not playing. It's like every name on the Chiefs that you've ever heard of isn't playing in this game. So I need a 2-word answer. Is there any chance in the world the Chiefs win even without those guys?
Hell yes. Yeah. Hell yes. Look, White, you heard about it. Championship pedigree. Yeah. You got guys that haven't had the opportunity. Maybe they're good enough to play, you know, and I can just tell you, there's guys that hadn't done anything that finally get a chance to start. Are you kidding me? They're going to be like, I'm going to show you. I'm part of this championship team for a reason. And so, yes, I think so. Carson Wentz laying in the weeds all season, waiting for one opportunity.
They got nothing to lose. All those guys that are going in, again, playing for house money. And you're telling me that Andy Reid can't work his magic with a discarded QB? Well, he's only done that 4 or 5 times in his career, you know. So they're going to be playing it to win. Andy only knows one way. He's not sitting back running the football today. But on the other side of this with the Broncos, again, squandered 2 chances. They got a chance to get it done today. And for me, coming down to their young quarterback who's had a phenomenal season, this guy has so many weapons right at his availability. And I want to see Sean Payton utilize them, especially his legs, right? And again, talking about this matchup, listen to what Steve Spagnuolo had to say about this young quarterback.
This might sound shocking, but when he tucks it and runs, I get visions of Josh Allen. Like he can go.
Rex, I know you're going to love this. And again, this is what I want to see today in critical situations. 3rd and 1. Let this guy go, man. He's got elite running ability. Check out the finish here, Rex. Look at that. That's Tyrann Mathieu. Watch him put his shoulder down. Look at him send this kid flying. I absolutely love it. This guy's got some dog in him. And then watch him get up and talk a little smack here, Rex. This reminds me of Josh, right? Josh has got him in this, right? In a competitive nature, in this kind of environment, let it loose. Again, 3rd and 3, critical down. Look, simple zone read, right? Again, this is a safety coming on the edge, a good space player. Doesn't have a chance. Look at the acceleration. Watch this kid turn up. And I think he feeds off this, right? As a quarterback that can do a lot, give him an opportunity to make plays in critical situations, right? Energize this offense, get him going. It doesn't just have to be with his arm.
Yeah, he's got that moxie. There's no question about it. And you've got to sit back and credit Sean Payton and his staff for finding a guy, identifying a guy and say, you know what? This is our quarterback, and then get in a position to draft him. And quite honestly, you see that improvement over and over. His development has been outstanding. And no surprise, but the people that he's around, no surprise whatsoever.
Which is part of the reason why I don't think the Chiefs have a chance. And for you guys to say that they can still win the game, I think it diminishes Patrick Mahomes and everything he's had to do for them to win all of these one-score games. In comes Carson Wentz. Who knows playing along that offensive line?
Đừng quên hãy cho mình một lượt like và một lượt đăng ký kênh để mình có động lực các bạn nhé. Và bây giờ mình cùng các bạn đi tô màu nào.
He's had to make those plays in the fourth quarter. They might not even be in that situation, and Carson Wentz may have to come from behind in this game. Love Andy Reid as a coach, Spags, everyone, but the players matter so much in this game because I do respect the Broncos for the team that they are. I think they're a pretty good team. I mean, they are the upper echelon of teams in the AFC, but this is a quality team with a great rookie quarterback that has a coach that knows how to get them ready for this type of game. I think the Chiefs don't have a chance in this one without Patrick Mahomes.
Well, Denver should win the game. Denver should win the game.
That's what I think.
But it also is a playoff-type game for Carson Wentz. First game he's playing all year long. It means a lot to him. It means a lot to a lot of these guys. And what if we get into a game with a young quarterback where all of a sudden there are a couple of turnovers and all of a sudden the Chiefs have someone? Yes, Denver should win this game. But it is still the Kansas City Chiefs. And I know they're not playing a lot of guys, but again, I'm not ready to say Denver's going to walk up. Hey, it'd be great to see if they did. It'd be great for the city of Denver.
I think it'd be telling to see what happens early in this game, right? If Denver can get a couple touchdowns and open this game up, I think it could be a blowout. But if they don't and it's close, this is a real rivalry, right? Like, they hate each other. And again, this Kansas City roster is so deep. A lot of these guys that I know their backups are playing today have played this year, right? And have played significant minutes. So
by virtue of the Bengals winning last night, the Broncos are out if they lose. They know that. So there could have been a scenario where they lose and they're still in. By the way, Andy Reid, if he wins today, he gets to 300 career victories. He would become the fourth coach ever to reach that number. Don Shula, Bill Belichick, George Halas, Andy Reid one away. Meanwhile, the big win tonight, or the big game tonight, Vikings, Lions, Sam Darnold, Jared Goff, playing the best football of their season, best football of their careers. Since week 11, these teams are 13-1. The quarterbacks have thrown 38 touchdowns and 3 picks. Both teams are 14-2. It's the first regular season game ever between 14-win teams. The 14 wins for Detroit are the most in their franchise history. And, of course, the stakes. The winner clinches the #1 seed and the only bye in the NFC. Loser will be on the road in the wild card round next weekend. It's impossible to imagine a bigger game than this.
Detroit Lions win this one by a score of 40-34.
Be able to have the division and the 1 seed on the line.
Minnesota Vikings are going to win 9 consecutive games.
You know, we want to win the division, and now here we are with a chance to do it.
It's definitely a big opportunity for us to go take the #1 seed.
We've had in our minds, division and 1 seed and all that, and it's right here in our hands.
Our goals and expectations have increased.
And I'd rather win it at home anyway. It'll feel more special.
We're definitely going to be juiced up about it and excited to go in Detroit and take that victory.
Just doesn't get any better than that.
This is how legends are made.
So Dan Graziano rejoins us again from Detroit. And Graz, obviously, one of the storylines of the Lions season has been their banged-up defense. How does that group approach the red-hot Sam Darnold tonight?
Well, Greeny, first of all, they approach him with a lot of respect. I was talking to DJ Reader, one of their defensive tackles, and he started going on and on about how great a story it is and how cool it is to see Sam Darnold doing so well after being counted out and having a tough time in his first few stops. I said, man, I understand getting this from his teammates, but aren't you game planning to try and kick his butt? And he said, yeah, but I'm a fan, I'm a fellow competitor. It's cool to see these kinds of stories. In terms of how they're going to play him, they want to make sure and move him off his spot. That's kind of what the defensive front of the Detroit Lions has been talking about this week. They don't want to flush him out of the pocket completely because they feel like once he gets on the run, he's actually capable of making plays and has made some very good decisions this year. They just feel like if they make him a little bit uncomfortable and a throw here or there is off by just a hair, they might have a chance to come up with an interception, get a turnover, maybe take advantage of a slight mistake. One thing to watch as the day goes along. The Detroit Lions could be getting back linebacker Alex Anzalone. Hasn't played since Week 11. He broke his arm in that game in Week 11. He was activated from injured reserve yesterday. There is a chance he could play tonight. If he does, huge boost for that banged-up Lions defense. Reader said he is a leader for us. He's our green dot guy on defense. He gets the calls, he makes the checks, gets everybody lined up. Getting him back would be massive. So watch out for that, Greeny, as we get a little closer to game time. Alex Anzalone's
kênh để mình quay động lực các bạn nhé. Và bây giờ mình cùng các bạn đi tô màu nào.
56.5. Because everyone is expecting this to be a very high-scoring game. What can the Lions do defensively, as banged up as they are, to try and find a way to slow down, to whatever degree they can, Darnold, and win this game?
Yeah, they got to challenge Sam Darnold mentally, and that offensive line mentally. Physically, you're not at that level right now. It's, beginning of the year, yeah, you can go, toe-to-toe with them, but not now. You got to scheme. You got to put pressure on them, show all-out pressure, bring it, lay back, simulated pressures. You got to be multiple in what you do, multiple in coverages, everything. Make them think to beat you. You can't let them sit back and be so comfortable like we've seen the last 6 weeks. Guys, this team has been atrocious on defense. All right, dead last in the NFL in yards per play, 6.7, 8.7 yards per pass attempt. That ain't going to cut it. Not today. So you got to turn it loose. What are you going to do? You make a couple of big plays defensively, turn it over to the best offense of the league? It's certainly not in Minnesota. It's in Detroit. You got to understand that. That's how you can win this game.
And BG, as a player, do you go about this game differently, knowing maybe it's a turnover here or there that winds up changing everything? If you're that Detroit defense and you've struggled this way, watch the mentality going up against Minnesota.
Put the offense in a great position, we're going to win the game because the offense is so dynamic. As you say, if they get in rhythm and they out there scoring points, all we need to do is make 1 or 2 big stops in the game because it comes down to that. And we all talking about that, and I feel like they have a good shot at winning.
Yeah, what Rex is talking about here in terms of being aggressive puts man coverage on the back end, and that's why Anzalone is so important because teams have attacked linebackers on this defense. It's been so obvious in terms of running backs out the backfield, little rub routes. Aaron Jones does these things very, very well, so Anzalone would be a big addition.
For me, the matchup that decides this game, it's the Lions offense versus the Vikings defense, right? It is the chess match between Brian Flores and Ben Johnson, and in the first game, Ben Johnson won this, right? And for me, Brian Flores, he's got to do some unconventional things. And really sometimes, he can't get too cute. He does so many things. He's so multiple from a personnel standpoint, a pressure standpoint. Take a look at this play from the first game. This is a 3rd and 8, right? The Vikings jump into, this is quarter, not nickel, dime, quarter, 7 DBs, 4 linebackers. There is not a single defensive lineman in the game. What does Ben Johnson do? They audible to a run, Rex, right? You're going to put all those little bodies on the game, right? Brian Flores daring you in a pass situation that you're not going to run the ball. Ben Johnson calls him on it. It walks into the end zone. And again, he had seen that on the tape, right? They had put that out there. They were ready for it. Again, you've got to be unconventional. Here's this second matchup. Can you have a counter? Right? Can you do some things that Ben Johnson isn't ready for that win this game?
So you're highlighting Gibbs. To me, he's one of the most explosive running backs, probably offensive players in the league. Then you make one mistake against this guy, and he's out the gate. And that's what they're going to have to do this week because I'm going to show you these runs are explosive plays, but there's just one mistake that's been made by a certain player, and that's all it takes because, this first one, let's talk about a safety angle when he goes to the middle of the field, but he reads it's a run, it's blocked up, sure, but there's the angle. That's the junction point you have to go to right there, Rex, defensively to make that tackle. Does he take the proper angle here? There's one-on-one. You just don't have the speed. You underestimate this guy's speed and explosive ability from the safety position, and he's out the gate. So that's an angle, okay? That's a mistake right there. How about your edge players? Your edge players in terms of the decisions that they make in terms of setting the edge here, Bosa. You make this mistake, you better make this play because if you don't, he's gone. He goes inside in terms of setting the edge, and that's it. That's all you need. Your safeties can't keep up. Edge players, safeties, and also blitzers. Here comes Metellus, Greeny, up the field as a blitzer. When the hip of the tackle goes down, it's a run. You can't come up the field because you go in and you go back out on the edge, and now he's gone because you can't tackle him in the secondary. One mistake. Edge players, safeties, all right, blitzers. If you don't, everybody along the front, if you're not right See ya.
So, BG, I mean, the Lions have one of the best offenses that we've seen in the NFL in a really long time. If you're a defense, you're going out there thinking, there's one thing we have to do. What is the one thing, if there's one thing you're taking away or whatever it may be, what's the one thing you have to get right to play defense against
Ngày
this
hôm nay
offense?
mình sẽ đi tô màu. Ngày hôm nay mình sẽ bắt đầu tô màu những sản phẩm rất chi là đẹp và bút màu của mình cũng rất là đẹp các bạn nhé. Các bạn hãy cố gắng xem video của mình đến hết. Mình cảm ơn và đừng quên hãy cho mình một lượt like và một lượt đăng ký kênh để mình có động lực các bạn nhé. Và bây giờ mình cùng các bạn đi tô màu nào.
An easy way to cover a guy is put him in pass protection instead of running pass routes. So if I'm Minnesota, I'm going to try to put Gibbs in pass protection as much as possible.
Meaning you're blitzing and making sure he has to pick it up.
Absolutely. Put the numbers in your favor. Blitz Gibbs. Don't let him in space, especially in the passing game. That's how I would attack him.
Look, it's a chess match between the two best teams. It's about as good a regular season game as we have ever seen, and it features maybe the most popular coach in the NFL. People cannot get enough of Dan Campbell. They love his passion, they love his grit, they love his sound bites. So how do the die-hard Lions fans honor their Motor City Messiah? As Rex tells us, imitation is the greatest form of flattery.
This team is going to take on the identity of this city. When you knock us down, we're going to get up. And on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off.
Dan Campbell doesn't just coach the Lions. I feel like he's coaching the city.
I love this freaking team. I love everything about it, man. We are so freaking hardened.
You can see it in his eyes. You can hear it in his voice. He is the city of Detroit.
Yeah! Good job, guys! You're not just doing it, you're living it. So proud of you guys. So freaking proud of you guys! We're destined for this. Just stay the course.
Seems like everyone wants to be Dan Campbell these days.
Yeah!
And why wouldn't you?
This is not happenstance. This has been in the making, man.
Hi, my name is Michelle Airy, and I am the creator of the Dan Campbell Lookalike Contest. Okay, so listen, there's all these lookalike contests going on around the world. Timothy Chalamet, Harry Styles, they're young, they're hot. No one's appreciating the middle-aged, older, good-looking man. I was thinking to myself, who does Detroit love more than Jared Goff?
Jared Goff! Jared Goff!
Dan Campbell.
Will the real Dan Campbell please stand up? That was the question asked in early December at a Detroit bar to find out which of the 22 contestants most resembled the city's favorite son.
Whoa! That's what I'm talking about! We are just built different!
I'm mistaken for Dan Campbell at least once a week.
It's a real honor to be recognized and then telling people that I'm not the guy, but man, I'd love to be.
I've kind of got the whole package. I got the face, I've got the physique.
Look, man, this offense is like a 5,000 horsepower 426 Hemi running on nitromethane.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Before we determine who the best Dan Campbell is, can the actual Dan Campbell tell us what he thinks about all this?
Well, yeah, I'll tell you what I think of is like, where were you at in 2021? I could have used you. I needed to look like back then when we were 0-10-1.
We had people come up on stage and give their best Dan Campbell impression up at the podium.
These boys are hurting. We're on second string defense. These boys came in off the street.
We want to see somebody who has the charisma, the passion.
This team has heart and soul. That is how you do it.
I wanted to bring the energy just like I thought Dan Campbell would.
Skip, keep throwing up. Keep throwing up. Yeah, love you, man.
After the collection of Campbells made their case, it was time to crown a winner.
It's about defense, offense, and grit. Get up, pump some iron, think about what our plays are going to be.
Fourth down in inches. You know, I'm going to go for it.
Well, they started chanting Jeff. I immediately started thinking, what would Dan Campbell do when he wins a Super Bowl? So I just slammed my hat to the floor and threw up my arms in victory.
Give it up for Jeff!
It took me at least a half hour to get out of the building with everybody talking to me and taking pictures with me.
Xin chào tất cả mọi
A lot
người.
of those guys look like me, but that's what I
Ngày
said.
hôm
If I
nay
do something wrong,
mình
at
sẽ
least
đi
I
tô
know I can
màu.
blame it on my
Ngày hôm nay
lookalike
mình
now.
sẽ bắt đầu tô màu những sản phẩm
Those
rất
guys
chi
really
là
did
đẹp
look like
và
that.
bút
It was
màu
a
của
lot of
mình
fun
cũng
to
rất là
watch.
đẹp
And
các bạn
Rex,
nhé.
we just thought,
Các bạn
since you were
hãy
there talking with Dan, we know how much you
cố
like
gắng
him. What
xem
do we
video
think?
của mình đến
There's
hết.
Rex says Dan Campbell.
Mình cảm ơn
Absolutely
và
right there.
đừng
I
quên
wish,
hãy
you
cho
know,
mình
that
một lượt
dude's
like và một
jacked
lượt đăng ký
beyond
kênh
belief,
để
too.
mình
I
có
don't
động
know.
lực các bạn
I'd
nhé.
have to get in the weight
Và
room
bây
for
giờ
about
mình cùng các
40
bạn đi tô
years.
màu nào.
A lot of goatees there.
All right, we got Bijan Robinson ready to roll. The Atlanta Falcons need a win, and they need some help if they're going to find their way to another weekend in this NFL season. We'll see what he has in store. We talk about it. Playoff spots on the line today, but there's also, according to our buddy Randy, some straight cash homie on the line. Shefty takes us through the best player incentives of this day, plus Baker has the Bucs in prime position to make a playoff run. We'll take you inside how the Bucs have made another push and look to finish today.
Results were good for us, but still goes back to if we don't take care of business, nothing else matters. So that's the mentality we have now.
Now Taxes is getting the TurboTax app and filing your taxes yourself 100% free if you didn't file with us last year. Pay $0 when you file by 2/18. All tax forms, all 100% free. Now this is taxes. File free in the app by 2/18. When you switch to TurboTax, do it yourself.
If you want to make an entrance, bring the sabor. Modelo Chelada Fresa Picante. Authentic Mexican beer, bold strawberry flavor, and a hint of spice. Modelo Chelada, bring the sabor.
This is Cassie. She never really paid attention to her credit scores until she got Credit Karma and used her scores to score more. Like a great rate on an auto loan for some more reliable wheels. Intuit Credit Karma. Download the Money app where your hard work pays off.
BK melts. Wanna warm up? This sure helps. Classic bacon, shroom, and Swiss. BK melt season is tasty bliss. BK, have it your way.
I'll only be gone a couple days, Rumi. Yay. I put all the important contact info on the fridge.
I know how to get in touch with USAA. I can file a claim or chat right in the app. USAA, Auto, Home, Life, and Bank.
Hey guys, let's talk about ESPN Bet, the sports book from your favorite sports brand. With ESPN Bet, you'll get a seamless, personalized experience, and with a couple of taps, add a market you see in the ESPN app to ESPN Bet. Start building your bet slips and add a profit boost to increase your winnings, or check out tons of parlays in the new Parlay Lounge. So easy, you can even sweat your bet alongside your favorite ESPN personalities, including me. So, what are you waiting for? Download today.
Up for something crispy, a little chocolatey, and a lot of peanut buttery? Whoa, do we have the snack for you? Rice Krispies Treats Chocolatey Peanut Butter.
That's the DQ Cheeseburger Lovers Deal. 2 singles for $5 or 2 doubles for $7 for a limited time. So, how is it? Deal this good speaks for itself, I guess. DQ, happy tastes good.
Valle Split Cup Yogurt. Tip it, swirl it, love it.
The Pro Bowl games rosters are set, which means it's time to show up in Orlando. Get your tickets to see this year's biggest stars, take the games and the flag football finale to the next level. The Pro Bowl games presented by Verizon, February 2nd. Tickets on sale now.
Welcome back to Sunday NFL Countdown, presented by Snickers.
All right, back on Sunday NFL Countdown. The Saints, several of their players entering the stadium today for their game against Tampa wearing these NOLA shirts, of course, after the tragic events and the terrorist attack that took place in the city of New Orleans this week, representing their city with pride, and obviously something that goes well beyond football here. And our
Xin
thoughts
chào
are
tất
with
cả
everyone
mọi người.
affected by the horrible events
Ngày hôm nay
there this week.
mình
In the
sẽ đi
meantime,
tô
as
màu.
to the game today,
Ngày hôm nay mình sẽ
in
bắt
Tampa,
đầu
the NFC
tô màu những sản
scenario
phẩm
is
rất
simple.
chi
In the
là đẹp
South, the
và
Bucks
bút
clinch
màu
the
của mình
division
cũng rất là đẹp
if
các
they
bạn
win
nhé.
today. That's simple.
Các bạn hãy
If Tampa loses the game and the
cố gắng xem
Falcons
video
win
của
the
mình
South
đến hết.
by beating the
Mình
Panthers
cảm ơn
in Atlanta. So Baker
và
Mayfield
đừng
and
quên hãy
company
cho
know
mình
it
một
is
lượt
in
like
their
và một lượt
hands
đăng ký
today
kênh
in
để mình
Tampa.
có động lực các bạn nhé. Và bây giờ mình cùng các bạn đi tô
Results
màu
were right for
nào.
us, but still goes back to if we don't take care of business, nothing else matters. So that's the mentality we have now.
Division game is never taken for granted. We know that going in. We still got a lot of things to work on. We got to play the right way and do all little things for us to win this ball game. If you need to be talked about for this game to get in the playoffs, you probably don't need to be here.
All right, Jeff Darlington is in Tampa for us. Jeff, what have the Bucs been saying going into this game?
Well, I can tell you this right now. Baker Mayfield is as dialed in as some here in the Bucs believe that he has been since he got here. I was talking to somebody who said that Baker is in this sort of us against the world mentality. As they said to me, they said, you know, he always has a chip on his shoulder and he's focused, but sometimes it can go to another level. And I'd say with all that's on the line this week, he's as locked in as ever. Another person added that he would never say this himself, but that he is pretty ticked. He didn't get that Pro Bowl. Something that he will use sort of as that underdog, overlooked mentality that he has. I'll also say this, there's something else driving Baker Mayfield this week, and that is the 85 yards that Mike Evans needs to get to 1,000 yards for the 11th consecutive season. That is a meaningful milestone for this team. Yes, by all means, this is about making the playoffs. One person told me that the goal here is to keep their foot on the pedal. Do not let off the gas against the Saints team that is dealing with a lot of injuries. They do not want any kind of letdown. Baker Mayfield,